All right, so again, we've just created the table. We use create table if not exists, a DDL command. The if not exists meant if there isn't a table by that name already created. We're also creating it in the Southwind database because that's where we are. All right, everything is within the parens. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 field names, product ID, product code, name, quantity, and price. Some of you have already learned this the hard way. If you either have to run names together and use like a camel case, or you have to use an underscore. You can't say product space ID. The system doesn't know what that means. It thinks it's two different variable names. All right? So we've got the 5 field names here. Product ID is a whole number, unsigned, which means it has a range from 0 to 4 billion plus. All these say not null, which means we have to put a value in for each one. The auto increment says count for me. So the first one that we put in will have an ID of 1. The second one will have an ID of 2. Make sense? So you don't have to manually put in the numbers. After I show you this, you're going to think, this is stupid. I'd rather put in the numbers. You still can, but it's just done this way. All right? There's sometimes when you're going to ask me, why do you do it like this? Because you do. Why aren't we England? Why don't we drive on the left-hand side of the road? Because we get in accidents if we do. All right, but it's because somebody made that rule. And these are the rules here. Then we've got product code. Notice one says var or says char, and the one on the next line says varchar. Char means fixed length. So that means it's expecting 3 characters right there. So the product code must be any 3 characters. Can be numbers, can be letters, could even be special characters. But it must be 3 characters. That can't be null. And the default will be blank. You can go, well, wait a minute, you just said you can't be null. Blank and null are not the same thing. You'll learn this when we start working with this stuff in more depth once we start putting in records. Now, char means fixed length. Varchar means variable length. So that means the name can be anywhere between 1 and 30 characters. Does that make sense? I'm asking, do you understand the difference between char and varchar? Char fixed length, varchar variable length. Okay? So name can be up to 30 characters. Again, it can't be left blank, and the default will be this. We're not going to use defaults much in here, so if those confuse you, don't let them. The quantity is an int. It's unsigned. It can't be blank. And the default, notice the difference? When you've got numeric fields and you have a default, you got to put a number in there. If you use non-numeric fields and you've got a default, you can't put a number in there unless it's within quotes. You've seen this in programming languages before. You can't say int age equal 21 and put the 21 into quotes. You'll get an error message. All right. Then we've got price. This one you might find a little confusing. All right. It says decimal 72. So we've got this. Decimal 72. That first number is the max digits. So the maximum is 7 digits. The 2 is the number of digits after the decimal point. So if you look up on the screen here, we have what? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 digits. And after the decimal place, there are 2 digits. Now, I wouldn't have put a price in there, a default price of $99,999.99, but that's what they did. Whether that's right or wrong doesn't really matter. Okay, so I'm asking, please look up on the screen here, the line here, the create table, the paren, product ID, product code, name, quantity, and price, up till that point. Any questions? This is your chance to ask. All right. Then we've got primary key product ID. Now, I don't want to confuse you, but if you look up on the screen here, again, I'm not trying to confuse you, but I want to show you something. This is the line that we typed in right away, that line. You all saw that, okay? What we could have done is we could have put primary key right here. Instead of putting it down here at the bottom, we could have put it up right there. So you might say, oh, that's fine. Okay, why didn't you? I typically would. Sometimes you're going to create a primary key that's two different fields together. Did you hear what I said? Two fields. All right, that's called a concatenated primary key. If you do it with two fields, you can't put like primary key here and then primary key here also. You can't do it that way. Then you must put primary key down below. All I'm telling you is if your primary key is a single field, like we have here, you can either put it at the bottom like they show, or you can put it up here. Okay? So is there anything that's in this table that people don't understand in that table definition? This is your chance to ask. All right, so let's run another command here. We already ran the show tables. You may have done that already, you might not have, but we have products. Okay? Now I'm going to show you a long way and then a shorter way to do the same command. All right? So the next command we're going to put in here is describe. You have to spell it right though. Describe products. And if you put that in and that's what you get, it worked. Now, if yours doesn't look 100% like mine and you go, well, mine looks like it does in the book or whatever, then probably I screwed up. All right? What I want you to understand, it sounds a little goofy, but this is a rule in MySQL. If you look up on the screen here, almost always, anytime you put in a command like this, almost always, you can put in the same command and only use the first four letters. So you can say, and you get the same result. So you can use the word describe, or you can just use DESC. All right? What you have right here, that's schema. That shows you the name of each one of your fields, the data type of each one of your fields, whether or not it accepts null, whether or not it's a primary key, whether or not it has a default value, and anything else. That is database schema. That's why when we worked with the schema, we had to use create, because that's one of the schema commands. And we had to say create followed by what are we creating? We're creating a table. So we said create table. Does that make sense? Somebody has to at least say yes. Okay, thank you. It sounds better on the tape that way. I hear somebody say yes. All right. Again, if you need further explanation than what I just gave you on those data types, that's shown in the book on page 5. All right, so you can take a look at it in there. Again, if there's anything in there that didn't seem to make a lot of sense to you. This is one reason, though, I'm not testing you on this. What I'm more concerned with is that you develop some kind of a comfort level with it. All right? We're going to do this, and then once you get it, we're going to switch over to the more GUIized tool and work with that. And do a lot of the same stuff we've already done. Eventually, next week, we're going to create our own database that's going to have each one of you in there. I'm going to give you the data. You don't like it. If you don't like what I give you for a dollar amount, then give yourself $1 million. I don't care. It doesn't really matter. All right? You know, I think right now Amina reports to me. If he wants me to report to him, then change it to that. I don't really care. You're not turning this stuff in anyway. All right. So, starting on the bottom of page 5, and I'm going to show you, now we have to put some data in there. You don't have to run this command. But if I want to see what's in my table right now, it's going to come back with empty set because there's nothing in there. I can say select star from products. That says show me everything that's in the products table. Wouldn't you expect it to say empty set because we haven't put any data in there yet? we're going to put in the data that's shown on the bottom of page 5 in your book. So you can watch me do it, or you can do it yourself. Either way. They show you it's all the commands in bold on the bottom of page 5 in your text. So I'm going to key them in directly exactly the way they have them in your, I'm going to call it your book. All right? Okay. This is the only time they are putting an actual value in there, so they're putting in 1001. I'll explain why they're doing it like that in just a second. Oops, spelled it wrong. You can see I made a mistake in one of mine. I spelled product wrong. Code cannot be known. Okay, I got the same error that they showed in the book. All right. Again, that was an error in mine. The rest of it should work. It's easier to follow it that way. Otherwise, again, it's in your book on the bottom of page 5. Eventually what we're going to do is I'll probably give you a hard copy or whatever, and I'm going to say, hey, you've got 15 minutes, put this in. Now I'm hoping we're going to get somewhere up to around page 11 today. All right, I'll take your question in a second, but if, let's say that's what we get to. What you should be able to do then, do you have to do this? It's not an assignment, but you should be able to drop the database, or instead of creating Southwind, create Southwind 2. Do every single thing that's in every step from pages 1 through whatever we get through today. Because I'm going to expect that when we start class on Friday, we're just going to pick it up from right there. Does that make sense to everyone? All right, you had a question? Well, what? Oh, okay. Try putting it in a semicolon. If that's the case, that's about as bad as it gets, because there's nothing you can do. So you literally have to close it. Get back in again. Yeah, just like that. MySQL minus new. What it's telling you is it's looking for a character that you put in the beginning character but not an ending one. But even sometimes if you put in the ending one, it still doesn't recognize that. Again, you won't have that problem when we get to the GUI tool. If that happens, you'll just remove what was there. Oops. All right, as soon as Brady gets back in here, I'm going to start going over what this is. Now again, if I go over it and I say, are there any questions, and you have a question but you don't want to ask for whatever reason, then go back and reread this. Again, this is something new. So you might think to yourself, well, he told us this was going to be real straightforward and easy. I don't think it is. But typically with most people, you don't think it is for about the first 2 or 3 days, and then it's like, you know what, this isn't even hard. I'd say that it's fun, but there are a lot of you who might already think that, no, it's IT, it can't be fun. All right? Let's put it this way, it's probably about as fun as it will get in here. Remember, if you look up on the screen here, this into the products table, this is what the products table looks like. It has those fields. So it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fields. Does that make sense to everybody? If you look up on the screen, everybody, right here, this last line that we put in null for everything, we told it to take the default values. That's why that last one worked. If you put in all of this information that you see on the screen right here, if you put in all of the information that's on the screen, please look up on the screen. And now you type in select star from products, that's what you should get. That's the information that you just put in. Now, if you say, well, I made a mistake on there, we'll learn how to fix that. There's a command called update that we'll get into by Friday. So if you made a mistake in here, you'll just update it. It's no big thing. I guess he's not coming back, or he'll be a while. So let's just take a look at what we have here. All right. Now, the reason I believe, and I'm not the author of this handout, but the reason that the author put in 1001 right there, see this? Is because once you put that in, the next one automatically becomes 1002. See what I'm saying? Now, just so you know this, look up on the screen here, because I'm going way up. This right here, when you say auto increment, I don't remember offhand what the command is, but you can give it a start value. So they could have given it a start value right there. You know, it automatically defaults to a start value of 1. So we could have told it to start with 1001. If we had done that, then we wouldn't have needed to hard code a value in here. Normally, when you say auto increment like we did, you should never ever have to put in manually put in a value. All right? That's what the auto part means. Automatically increment for us. All right? So this 1001 becomes the product ID. This pen becomes the product code. This becomes the name. This is the quantity, and this is the price. Does that make sense? So what? 1001 pen, pen red, 5000, 1.23. 1001 pen, pen red, 5000, 1.23. Does that make sense? That's the first record that we put in. So if you look up on the screen, because there's many ways that you can actually input information. So they did it all on one line, which is fine. Then they do it like I've shown you, where you put it on multiple lines. So again, no will mean use the auto increment, so that'll become 1002. Pen is the code, pen blue is the name, 8000 is the quantity, 1.25 is the type. Then we have another one that we're putting in here. Notice that each record must be within its own parentheses. Can you see that? Beginning, end of record, beginning, end of record. If you forgot a comma there, you'd get an error message. If you put a comma here, you'd get an error message. It's very easy to get tripped up and put something in there you didn't want to, need to, or mean to put in there. It happens. It'll happen to everybody. And unfortunately, it'll happen more than once. So for the second record, 1002 pen, pen blue, 8000, 1.25. The third record, 1003 pen, pen black, 2000, 1.25. And if you look, that's exactly what we have. Okay? Then we get up to the fourth record, so we start getting into the pencils, which are here. So now notice they've done it differently. They don't have the word values right after this. What did they leave out of here? I'm asking you, what's not in here? What field is not in there? Look on the bottom of the screen. What field is not shown right there? Oh, there's 4 fields here, there's 5 here. Which one of these 5 here is not shown there? Product ID. We don't have to put it in there. We used no before. We can leave it off if we want to. But if we leave it off, then we have to let the system know that we're only putting in 4 fields. See that? So if we put in those like that, we can leave off that no. If we don't put in there the 4 values, if we just put values in, it would be trying to shove PEC into the product ID, and it would blow up. All right? So there's 2 other records. Then we've got this one. Now we're only putting in the product code and the name. What does that mean? Product code and name. That means that for the product ID, it uses the auto increment, and for the quantity and for the price, it uses the defaults. So for this one right here, all right, this PEC pencil HB should have a quantity of 0 and a price of $99,999.99. There it is. All right. So there's a lot of ways you can put information in here. The last one said just take all the defaults for everything. And that was here. So like I said, there's a lot of ways we can do this. Good, bad, or indifferent. What the author tried showing you on the bottom half of page 5 are 4 or 5 different ways you can accomplish the same thing. All right? All right. If you're still confused, on page 6, if you turn to page 6 of your text, and I'll turn to page 6 up here also. So on page 6, now somehow I lost it. But if I turn up here to where it says insert into syntax, this is the middle of page 6. The author explains in detail exactly what they're trying to do in the previous section. So if you think, okay, I tried to put in those records and it got screwed up and I have no clue why, take a read on this. All right? Next, and I showed you this already, this is maybe the most important thing we've gone over thus far. When you say select, all right, that's the first time we're using one of these commands. We have not yet done an update. We have not yet done it, well, we did the insert, I guess. We have not yet done a delete. When you use select, you cannot change the data. Everybody hear what I said? When you use select, you cannot change the data. When you say select star, it shows you everything. Did everybody hear that? It's a wild card. That means in this case, everything. What if all I wanted was the name and then the quantity and then the price? Everybody with me? So all I want are the last 3 fields. Then I have to say select name, comma, quantity, comma, price from products. And then that's all I get. But I cannot change the underlying data that's in the database using a select statement. Select, for lack of better words, select is read only. I can show it in a lot of different ways. And that's what we're going to be getting into in the next week or so. So if you need a little bit more about the select, it's on the bottom of page 6. And there's examples on the bottom of page 6 and the top of page 7. All right? The actual syntax, just so you're aware of this, I just want you to hear this. The actual syntax for the select statement, the way you typically do it is you say select, followed by one or more field names, from, followed by one or more table names. That's how you do it. This can be star if you want everything. Eventually, we'll be getting information from more than one table at a time. All right, it's a little bit more complex. But select, you can actually use without any table names. So I can say, for example, I don't know why I'd say this, but I can say select 1 plus 1. And it tells me that it's 2. Now that's a dumb example, but just so you see that. But one that you oftentimes see is this. Select now. And it shows you the current date and time. Now, if you look at this, you might say, yeah, but it's in a weird format. That's my SQL format. It does the year first, followed by the month, followed by the day. See that? That's my SQL date format. Get used to it. Not say, hey, that's the format. Do you like it? Because it doesn't matter. That's just the way that we're going to, you can still print it out in different ways, and we'll learn how to do that. But when you're inputting dates, that's the way that you're supposed to do it. All right? Now, again, please look up on the screen. Okay, I'm going to say select star, you don't have to do this, from products. You already did this, from products. All right. What if I only want to know, all right, what if I only want to know products that have 5,000 or less in stock? Are you with me? Okay. Then I can say select star from products, but I put in what's called a where clause. That allows me to put in criteria. So I can say where quantity is less than or equal to 5,000. And notice what I get. All right, so try putting that one in. The first one that I did, I will. I haven't put it out there yet. No. I'll upload it during the next break. Yes. Okay. Right now, if you would type in DDSC space. Type in select space star space on project. I think we've already got some of that information. So that you've already got that. First one is L. See the difference between those two? Yeah, so go back and start using the up arrow. Let me use the up arrow. So again, if you did that one, if you wanted everything that was greater than 5,000, it's the same query, but the only thing you change is you change the less than or equal to a greater than. And you get those. Does that all make sense? So you can use the less than or equal to, the greater than or equal to. Please look up on the screen. What if I wanted ones that were equal to 5,000? Well, we've done work in other programming languages where you use equal, correct? This ain't one of them. So if I want to see if it's equal to 5,000, it's just a single equal sign. You all hear that? What if I want stuff that's not equal? Okay? Then I can do this. I can say both of these should work, but I'm going to try them both to be sure. There's not equal right there. And I'm going to try it again like this. That worked, and I don't know if this one still works or not. Nope, doesn't like that one. So when you want to see if something is not equal, you can say either less than followed by greater than or exclamation point equals. That's inequality. So equality is a equal sign. Inequality is either this or this. All right? So see if you can write a query right now that prints out everything where the product code is not pen. Hear what I said? Not pen. And I will give you a hint. That pen must be within single quotes. So see if you can print out everything where the product code is not pen. And I'll give you a second to try that. Try it. The worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to get it wrong. But if you don't try, you're never going to get this stuff. And I'll put the answer down in just a second. Your first worksheet is going to have like 50 problems that are going to say things like this. If you start getting it, you'll be able to do that worksheet in an hour, even with 50 problems on it. If you don't, you're going to probably struggle, at least through the first few. All right? So I want to select star from products where the product code is equal to, or not equal to, I'm sorry, not equal to pen. That make sense? So I can do it either this way or I can do it this way. Both of those give me the same answer. And if you go, I'll never get this stuff. This is my opinion. Then you're selling yourself short. Because you can manually look at the information and figure it out. But remember, you're smarter than the computer is. You may not always feel that way, but you are anyway. Any questions on any of the ones I just asked you to do? All right. Good, bad, or indifferent. Remember, this is all of our data right here. That's all of our data. Correct? Okay. Now, if we look in here, I'm trying to look for something because what he's done in here so far isn't really all that great. We're going to put in our own record. This isn't in the book, but we're going to put in our own record so we can do some more comparison commands. So we're going to put in this. Insert, you have to spell it right though. Insert into products, and we only want to put in a product code, a name, a quantity, and a price. Come on. And a price. Values, and I'm making these up. Okay, so I'm purposely making these up. All right. We've got pens and pencils. We're going to put in for a product code. We'll make this a pencil rather. PEC. That's fine. But the name will be different. It's going to be pencil red. All right. There will be 1,000 of them, and they will be 25 cents. All right. So please put in that record. If you don't know why, you will in a minute. After you put in that record and you run the select star, you now have another one in here. We just put in that record. Again, there's a reason that I'm having you do this. I'm going to go for 9 more minutes till 10:15, then we'll take another break. All right? I mean, and literally, you need breaks when you're learning this stuff because you start going a little nuts afterward. When I started learning it, it was just, I didn't get it at all. I thought, I'll never get this stuff. Now, if it makes you feel any better, this is what I ended up doing my master's thesis on. Because this was something I never thought I'd understand. All right? And I helped the guy that my department had write a book. That was my thesis. So you can all get it. It's going to take, some of you it's going to take longer than others. If you tried putting in that particular record and you got errors and you don't know what they are, you must raise your hand and let me know. 999 times out of 1,000, it's a typo. There's about 4 kinds of typists. There are people who type slow, and make a lot of errors. There are people who type slow and don't make a lot of errors. There are people who type fast and make a lot of errors. There are people who type fast and don't make any errors. I hate those people. All right? I can type fast. You know, I literally, maybe I told you about this, but my first degree was in journalism. When I got my first interview, I went in there and I was a smug little ass. That's why I didn't get the job. I wouldn't have hired me. Because the guy asked me, he goes, how many words can you type per minute? And I said, it depends. And he goes, on what? I said, the spelling count. He didn't find it funny. Basically, the interview went downhill after that. I'm sure he thought, you smug little prick. Pardon my French, but that's the way he looked at me. And I thought later, wow, that was really pretty stupid. Wow, well, I didn't get the job. First I thought, why didn't I get the job? Then I started thinking about it. Just why would they want to hire me? All right. Yeah, or lack thereof. All right. So hopefully everybody got that record in there. Would you agree, looking at it on the screen right now, would you agree? The word red appears in 2 records. Would you agree with that? All right. We're going to find out where they are right now. Okay? Now, first I'm going to show you the wrong way to do it, so don't type this in. Okay? If I typed in select star from products where name equal red, how many records are going to be returned right here? None? Why? I mean, no, there's nothing to do with capitalization. Your answer's right, your explanation's wrong. Because do we have a product that's named red? Empty set. The query was syntactically correct, but there was nothing that met that criteria. All right? If we want something that ends with red, we don't care what it starts with. Would you agree with that? All right? But we can't use equal because there's 2 of them and they're not the same. So we have to say this, where name like, and then we have to put a % sign in here. % red. And then notice what we get. Please put that query in. This is case independent or case insensitive. Take your question in a second. Oh, that was it? Okay. But we have to use like because like is a comparison operator for strings. The % sign is a character that means 0 or more characters followed by red. All right. Now, if you look up on the screen here, if you please look up on the screen here, we don't have anything that's got red in the middle. So in other words, we don't have like pencil red hello or something like that. But let's assume that we did. So let's assume the word red could be in there anywhere. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm going to show you, I'm going to put in the same command, but notice I'm going to put another % sign, another % sign on the end. And I'll get the same result. But that just says the word red appears, it's 0 or more characters, followed by the word red, followed by 0 or more characters. Does that make sense? Yes.
Does that also show any inputs that have RED in the middle of the word?
Yes. That'll show anything. That's red anywhere. So red head, whatever. You know, as long as it's RED, but it has to be together. All right? Now, if you look up on the screen here, I'm just going to select star from products again. Okay? And you notice that our product code is either pen or it's PEC. All right? They made pencil PEC. All right? I just showed you that the % sign is used. The % sign is used. So we could say this. We could say select star. You don't have to put this in. From products where product code like, and we could have said this, PE there, just like that. And that gave us everything. That works fine. But if we only care about one character, would you agree that the codes are all PE followed by a character? All right, you use the percent sign for 0 or more characters, but you use an underscore for a single character. So this says there must be a character in there. So this must be PE followed by a single character. All right, so notice, get the same result. So the percent sign means 0 or more. The underscore means exactly 1. Does that make sense? Okay. Also, and I forgot to show you this previously, if you look up on the screen here, remember we just did this, where we said everything that's red, right? And it showed us these. Well, I can come in here and say, show me everything that's not red by putting the word not in front of it. So notice the ones that are left, pen blue, pen black, pencil 2B, pencil 2H, pencil HB, but there's no red in there. So not is an inverter, the word not. And show me stuff that doesn't mean that. Okay? Does this make sense to you, what I'm about to put here? If I say this, you don't have to type it in. We did this already. Select star from products where quantity, we did this one before, greater than or equal to 5,000. All right, we got this. Okay, I think that makes sense to everybody. You could have written that where I could have put here not less than 5. Well, let's see. There is a way to do it. Now, it's all I'm trying to tell you is there's ways that you can rewrite things. You should be striving right now to write things in a way that makes the most sense possible to you and the way you do things. All right. What if, again, looking at the screen here, what if I only want a red pen, a red pencil, or a black pen? Everybody with me? I only want those. First, let me show you. I'm going to put in a query. Don't type it. It's not going to work. All right, so I'm going to say select star from products where name equal pen red or pencil red, or I think we said pencil 2B. It doesn't really matter. Pencil 2B. Now I'm telling you right now, this isn't going to work. You go, yeah, it did. No, did it give me all of them? It basically ignored everything after this because it's a stupid piece of software. And what I mean by that is you have to type it in like this. Then it gives me all three. And why am I telling you that? Because one or more of you will do this anyway as we go on in here. It's just human nature to think that. All right? Now, I don't know if you agree with this. That's kind of a lot to type. It's not terrible, but it's kind of a lot to type. All right? So let's look at this query that we just put in here right there and see if there's a better way we can write that. So I'm going to type in here select star from products where, now I'm going to say name in, and this is case insensitive, or at least it should be, red, pencil red, pencil 2B. Get the same thing. So I can use the word in, and then I can put a list of things if I want to do that. If they're numbers, they can't go within quotes. If they're strings, they must go within quotes. No one's asked this yet, but hey, what about double quotes? They're used for something different that we'll talk about at a later time. Just get used to using single quotes. And if you go, well, I tried double quotes and they work, don't do it anyway. Because they may not always work. Well, I'm going to do it anyway. Then you're going to do it anyway. All right. Hopefully what you're seeing as we're going through this, you're like, well, that sort of makes sense. That's kind of scary. All right. So that's two ways that you can do the same thing. If you look up on the screen, just so you know this, the recommendation is that you use this one. That is a command that was specifically created for this relational database management system. It should execute faster than that does. Notice it says 0.00 seconds. It's so fast. It's faster than you can snap your fingers. But if you had thousands or millions of records, this should give it to you faster than this does. I'm just telling you, that's the way it is. All right? All right, now I showed you this one before. If you look up on the screen here, we did a select star from products. You don't have to type in this. You saw this. And then we said, okay, well, show me all the products where the quantity is greater than or equal to 5,000. All right, we did that one, and you saw that. Okay, what if all I want is anything that is between 5,000 and 8,000? You with me? I only want things that fall within 5,000 to 8,000. Then I can put in, select this, where the quantity greater than or equal to 5,000 and the quantity is less than or equal to 8,000. So please put that one in, the one that's on the top here. The only way you get good at this is to just keep querying and querying and querying. We're going to do one more, two more, then we're going to take a break. Oh, do you have like a greater than sign and just a bunch of garbage? Because that's what happened to Tiffany before. Yeah. You have to get out and get back in. And I'm gonna, in fact, I'll show everybody that right after the break. You literally have to close this and then go back in your XM control panel and start it up again. Click the, MySQL -u root and then use products and do it all over again. It depends on what you typed.
Well, I mean that, and I also found that my window started off smaller, and so I had to go change the default.
Yes, you can do that too.
To the second row, like freak it out.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many things that's why a lot of people hate the console, because it's quirky. I want to show you the same query if you look up on the screen, but another way we can write it. Same results. So please put in that query. It's called the between and query. So you see two ways right here, the query at the top of the screen and the query in the middle of the screen that do the same thing. Again, this is the recommended one. The second one I showed you should execute faster if you've got thousands, millions, whatever of records. All right. This was our data, right? What kind of order does that data look like it's in right now? It's in order based on what? Product ID. All right. What if we wanted in order based on price? Everybody with me? We want it in order based on price. I'm going to show you 2 ways that we can do that. All right, so I'm going to say here, order by price. See the difference? There was the order before, and here's the order now. Now it's not an order here at all. It's an order based on the price. Here's a quick question for you. This one everybody should get. Is that price in ascending or descending order? Ascending. So if you look up on the screen, if you want to, even though it's redundant, you can type ASC right there. But you really don't have to because that's the default. If I wanted an order in descending order, you must type DESC. Just like we typed in DESC before for something else, now it's in descending order. So please try both of those, okay? Then now see if you can put it in ascending and descending order based on quantity. Since you had what? You have to say use products to make the database active. Then, whatever you were at last time, you should be able to just start putting in queries. Yes. Remember, if it says none right here, you don't have a database active. All right. Now, please look up on the screen here. We're just about to take a break. Now, this is what I want. Please look at the output that you see on my screen. Okay? What I want is you notice that there's some prices here that are the same. And there are some quantities here that are the same. When order by allows you to sort, I can sort on more than one field. So I'm going to sort it first based on price in descending order. Then I'm going to sort next on quantity. And I want that in ascending order. And then I want next to be on name. So I can tell it to sort on as many things as I want to. But it goes from a major to a minor order. So whatever one I put in first is the most major one. Then the next major, then the next major, etc. So if I do that, now notice that these are in ascending order where previously they were in descending order. Other than that, everything else looks the same. How many records do I have in this table? It's not a trick question. How many records are in here? How many do you see? 7. All right. Sometimes, what if I had 107? I say select star from products. Boom. Brrr, I don't want to see that many, right? So if I don't want to see that many, I can say, for example, select star from products, limit 3. And it only shows me the first 3. So you can use the word limit in there if you want. All right? I think it's time for a break. It's 10:26. Let's come back at 10:40, please.